Hello and welcome. I'm the Big Shot Critic, and today it's the true story of the mustache that cost Warner Brothers millions, as well as the unexpected and amazing consequences. So gather round, dear viewers, and let's begin. On the one hand, we have Paramount Pictures, making movies since 1912 and key holders to Mission Impossible since 1996. With them in their corner is star and producer of the Mission Impossible films, Tom Cruise, and the director of Mission Impossible 5 and 6, and currently working on 7 and 8, Christopher McQuarrie. On the other hand, we have Warner Brothers, making movies since 1923 and heavily involved with DC Comics since 1989. With them in their corner is the director of Man of Steel, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, the credited director of Justice League, and the actual director of Zack Snyder's Justice League, Mr. Zack Snyder, and the takeover director of Justice League and disgraced male feminist, Joss Whedon. And in the middle of it all, playing August Walker in Mission Impossible Fallout and Superman in Justice League, is Mr. Henry Cavill. Although really it's the mustache he grew to play August Walker that's in the middle of it all. On January 30th, 2011, Henry Cavill was announced as the next actor to play Superman. Man of Steel came out on June 14th, 2013. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice came out on March 25th, 2016. The public opinion of those movies is not so good, but people like Henry Cavill as Superman. People like Henry Cavill in general. He's very likable and he doesn't get involved in controversies. Except this one. Justice League began its ill-fated production on April 11th, 2016, with Zack Snyder at the helm once again. Everything seemed to be going fine, and production wrapped in October the same year, and Zack Snyder settled in for months of post-production. Every great story has a very sad part, and this one is no different. But because this is a true story, I must warn you, the sad part is truly very sad. On March 20th, 2017, Zack Snyder's daughter passed away by suicide. A short time later, Zack stepped down as director. The fans were extremely sensitive and supportive during this time, and as you'll see, that fan support went on to become something truly beautiful. At the same time, something was afoot on Henry Cavill's Instagram. On January 15th, 2017, he started showing signs of facial hair, and before long, it was a full beard. On March 16th, 2017, Mission Impossible Fallout director Chris McQuarrie asked Henry Cavill, in an Instagram post, if he wanted to join the cast of Mission Impossible 6. Henry Cavill accepts. Obviously, this was a fun public casting announcement, not an actual negotiation. Mission Impossible Fallout began production on April 8th, 2017. On April 15th, Kingstache, as it would come to be called, makes its debut on Henry Cavill's Instagram. But it was 5 days later, on April 20th, that the new mustache would make the news because of a set photo shared on Instagram by Chris McQuarrie confirming that Henry Cavill had a mustache for his character in Mission Impossible 6. Production carried on and Mission Impossible Fallout wrapped on March 25th, 2018. Less than 2 months later, on May 10th, I attended a test screening of Mission Impossible Fallout with my friend, who also lent me this copy of Justice League to help me make this video. You know who you are. Thank you. Tom Cruise was there at the test screening, but he came in a side door straight to his seat just as the house lights were coming down. And then he left right out that same door just as the house lights were coming up. We know it was him because we know Tom Cruise goes to test screenings. He was sitting right next to the director, and he had 2 bodyguards. I didn't get to meet him. But I did get to meet Chris McQuarrie, who I was already a fan of for Jack Reacher and Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. Yeah, he works with Tom Cruise a lot. I shook his hand and told him I thought he was one of the best action directors working today. The producer standing next to him egged me on and said, "You mean the best action director working today, right?" I held my ground and said, "You're getting there." But for the record, my opinion has changed. And Chris, if you're watching this, now I think you are the best. Mission Impossible Fallout hit theaters on July 27th, 2018, and was quickly recognized as one of the best action movies in years. Critics loved it. Actual people loved it. Everyone loved it. It made a bunch of money, too. Justice League, however, had hit theaters 8 months earlier on November 17th, 2017, and was quickly recognized as one of the biggest disasters in years. Critics hated it. Actual people hated it. Everyone hated it. And it lost a bunch of money, too. So let's rewind a bit. Joss Whedon was announced as director of Justice League the same day Zack Snyder stepped down. Because of Zack Snyder's family tragedy, this was not questioned. Joss Whedon was just stepping in to wrap it up and finish the job. Or so we were told. On July 24th, 2017, Variety reported on the extensive Justice League reshoots, which had already taken 2 months. Way longer than usual. Rumors began spreading that Joss Whedon was doing a little more than wrapping up Zack Snyder's work. But all of that was overshadowed by one little snippet in the Variety article. Because Mission Impossible was still filming, Paramount would not allow Henry Cavill to shave his mustache for the Justice League reshoots. Warner Brothers would have to digitally remove it during post-production. And the legend of Kingstache was born. Nobody actually knows how much it cost to digitally remove the mustache. Variety reported that those 2 months of reshoots cost $25 million, and that's the number that most people latched onto. At one point, some visual effects artists were actually interviewed, and they were asked how much they think it would cost. But without seeing the number of shots or the type of shots that the mustache had to be removed, they didn't even offer a guess. I have a guess, and we'll get to that, but at the time, these were just funny headlines about a mustache. What really makes this story great is how the mustache ties into the beautiful fan support of Zack Snyder that I mentioned earlier. What makes this story great is how one man's mustache became the butt of many jokes and then actually made the world a better place. The ridiculousness of 2 major studios fighting over someone's facial hair caught everyone's attention. Just 2 days after the Variety report, Henry himself was joking about the mustache on Instagram. For a while, it seemed like people were too distracted by the mustache to ask any questions about Joss Whedon or the reshoots. But not so. Joss Whedon's troubles were just beginning. On August 20th, 2017, Joss Whedon's ex-wife wrote a guest column in The Wrap, calling him a hypocrite preaching feminist ideals. It's a very damning piece, talking mostly about affairs that he admitted to having while they were married. The guy's a creep, and he was outed as a creep. This made fans even more hesitant of his upcoming movie, and when Justice League finally came out on November 17th, 2017, nobody liked it. The visual effects on Superman's upper lip were panned by everyone, and fans immediately launched the Release the Snyder Cut campaign because they knew Joss Whedon had changed the movie. Release the Snyder Cut was a very special movement that really brings the whole story together and resolves everything. The mustache was a big part of that because it brought a lot of public attention to how bad Justice League was. On July 31st, 2018, 4 days after the release of Mission Impossible Fallout, director Chris McQuarrie revealed more details about the mustache on a podcast. He was contacted by Justice League producer Charles Roven back in the summer of 2017 before the reshoots began. Charles said, "Hey, I need Superman back." And Chris said, "Hey, he's got a mustache now." Obviously you know how this story ends, but they initially worked out a deal where Henry shaves his mustache and Warner Brothers pays Paramount to digitally add the mustache for Mission Impossible. This deal was all set to go through. They calculated the cost at $3 million, and someone at Paramount caught wind of it and said, No. Henry is not shaving that mustache. I wish I could tell you which Paramount executive made this decision, but of course, Chris McQuarrie did not reveal that. And you know the rest of the story, where Warner Brothers had to remove the mustache instead. I also told you I had a guess for how much it really cost. It would have been $3 million to add the mustache back in for most of the Mission Impossible shots. The visual effects artist in that interview I mentioned earlier said it's much harder to remove facial hair than to add it, so my guess is $12 million.
I am never going to financially recover from this.
And there's something else. According to Zack Snyder's director of photography, the theatrical version of Justice League was 90% reshoots. Only 10% of this version was shot by Zack Snyder. As insane as that is, it also means that most, if not all, of the shots with Superman had to have the mustache removed. Again, the whole mustache situation coming up in the news over and over was a godsend for the Release the Snyder Cut movement. And it's time I tell you why that movement is so special. Not only did we in fact get the Snyder Cut, but the fan love and support went way beyond that. Zack Snyder stepped away from Justice League after the tragic suicide of his daughter. Through various campaigns, the Release the Snyder Cut movement raised more than $500,000 for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. The CEO of that foundation released a statement in February 2021. The Release the Snyder Cut movement has created a true community of support, and their encouraging messages of hope will go a long way toward helping others know they are not alone. We are honored to be part of this movement and are grateful for all they are doing to save lives. And that, my viewers, is the true story of how Henry Cavill's $25 million mustache made the world a better place. I've just got a couple of things to wrap up here. On July 1st, 2020, actor Ray Fisher, who played Cyborg in Justice League, tweeted about Joss Whedon being abusive to the cast and crew during the reshoots. Since then, at least 13 actors and writers have corroborated Ray Fisher's story of Joss Whedon being a total jerk. That includes Jason Momoa, Gal Gadot, Sarah Michelle Gellar, and David Boreanaz. And it seems pretty clear today that Joss Whedon's career is over. On March 18th, 2021, after years of campaigning, Zack Snyder's Justice League was released on HBO Max. This is the greatest fan victory of this century. We live in a time where the official Star Wars Twitter account harasses Star Wars fans. It's normal today for filmmakers to insult and degrade moviegoers. It's absolutely disgusting, and that is why Warner Brothers releasing the Snyder Cut is a massively significant event. The goodwill they earned by doing that is incalculable. And on March 21st, 2018, Henry Cavill shaved his mustache. He made a tribute video you can watch on his Instagram. Shaved but not forgotten. My own mustache occasionally makes an appearance on this channel, including today. And I kid you not, Henry Cavill's Kingstache has always been the inspiration. Let's hear it for him. Thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Leave your comments below and smash that like button to salute Kingstache. Bye-bye.